Alright, so hello and welcome to another episode of Kwesi's Corner with me, Kwesi. Today we have none other than the mega versatile, mega groovy Samson Jatto here with us today. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And we will be doing a whole expo on him. So we're going to be picking his brains about what he uses, why he uses it, what his approach is, all that kind of stuff. Up next. Okay, so here we are with none other than Samson. Samson, nice one.
How's it going? You
Don't leave me hanging, bruv.
I would.
I've been personally looking to have Samson on for quite a while, just because he is one of my favourite drummers, and definitely one of the grooviest ones in the UK. Samson, tell us a bit about yourself. When did you start drumming, and what made you get into the whole drumming world?
Well, I started learning in secondary school when I was 13 years old. And I was just curious. One of my friends used to have drum lessons, and long story short, one day I sort of waited outside one of his lessons and the teacher called me, and before you know it, I just straight away realised, oh my gosh, like, I love this thing. After that, before you know it, by the time I was 16, I got quite a bit addicted, and I was playing more closer to like every day in college when I was in college. And then when I got to uni, I didn't study music, but then a few of my friends studied music as well, so I used to go into their music rooms, music department, and by the time I left uni, somehow I ended up getting on a gig and then haven't really looked back since then.
What gig was that you got on?
That was with Maverick, Sabre. It was for like a BBC Live Lounge, which I'd never done. It was a Maid of Vale session, BBC Maid of Vale session, which I'd never done before. So we did a few rehearsals for that. And then I think the following year, Maverick got signed. And then I just remember one day the manager being like, oh, so are you available like next week? I was like, what for? He's like, oh, we're going on tour supporting Snoop Dogg. I was like, jeez, wow. Okay, I'll make myself available. Yeah, I mean, I've played with a lot for a few years with Jessie, Ware. Did that around the same time and a bit afterwards. Played with James Arthur for a while. Currently play with Neo. I've been doing that for the last 4 years now. Wow, 4 years now I've been doing that, and a few bits and bobs with different artists. To be honest, they're quite a bit different. Maverick is definitely a lot more sort of soulful, but whilst being soulful, it's quite organic. A lot of live drums. Whereas if you fast forward to Neo, it's soulful as well, but it's a lot more of this new generation kind of thing. A lot more electronic, using the SBS and stuff like that. I can't play the same way, you know, when I'm playing with, even though it's a similar genre of music, but it's not the same, but a similar genre of music, you can't just leave your ghost notes hanging all the time, because you've got a trigger on the snare, it's triggering a different sound. So you can't really do that. You can't go for that crazy drum fill that you used to go for, because you've got triggers on the kick and on the snare, it's gonna sound crazy. Do you know what I mean? So.
Do you find it, you're in a kind of unique position? Because I know a lot of session drummers out there, they play on stage and then the artist would then go back into the studio and have another drummer and another set of musicians all together.
Yeah, you can't always get into that position straight away, and me myself, I'm not always in that position. It's something that is fairly new to me as well. There's so many artists I've worked with in the past who I've loved their music and they've always wanted to have me on tour. But obviously, you know, they finish the album campaign and they start writing album number 2 or 3. And then I get the call again for like, oh yeah, the tour's starting so-and-so, but it's like, oh, I haven't been included in any of the recording or the writing at all. So it's something you have to definitely like work yourself into, but also you have to learn that it's a completely different discipline. Mentally, your mind has to be completely different. When you're playing live, that people are looking for excitement, When you're recording, they do want bits of excitement, obviously, but they're also trying to capture a vibe and a constant groove. They're not always looking for the tune to change too much in dynamics. And that, especially one thing I've learned is definitely, like, for example, with stuff like cymbals. They don't want to hear a lot of cymbals. Some people do, but a lot of people, you'll find it's just like, yeah, man, if you could just do that take again, but maybe don't hit any crashes at all. That's often the case, do you know what I mean? It's a completely different ballgame. And then you just have to be careful, remember, when you're playing live, you can play it in that studio kind of way, but actually those little bits of excitement where, you play out a little bit more, hit some more of those crashes, do a couple more fills. People want that when you're playing live, but when you're playing it in the studio, you're more trying to serve just the music, just the lyricist, just the artist, just that main guitar part or whatever it is.
Do you find that you revel in that these days?
Yeah, I mean, it's to be honest, it's something I enjoy because I really love, before like playing drums, I just really love music. I love listening to music. And there's some music I listen to doesn't even have that much drums on it. It's not that important to me. It's more like, what are you playing, or what is everyone else playing that's making this song sound really good?
So, obviously you're at a certain level. I would consider you a certain tier of drummer that you can access certain brands and certain companies, so which naturally would mean, for the type of level that you're playing at, endorsements. So what companies are you either affiliated with or endorsed with and that you use on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, well, the companies I'm using at the moment which support me are Mapex drums.
Okay.
I've got Mapex Saturn at home, which I use on everything, basically.
Okay.
I use Vic Firth sticks.
What model?
55A.
55, yes.
Just enough weight, but still light enough to get around and have,
Bit of backbeat.
some okay ghost notes and still have enough power. I'm using Remo drum heads, mainly Emperors on the toms, coated Emperors on the toms, control sound on the snare, and I use a PS3 on the kick. But right now I'm using a PS3 Black Dot on the kick, which sounds amazing. What else? What am I missing? Zildjian cymbals, obviously. Using those, I use 14-inch K Constantinoples. I usually have an 18-inch Korope Crash, a 22-inch Korope Ride, or a 20 Korope Ride, which I used in the other video. And I use sometimes a 20-inch K Dark Crash or a 20-inch Crash of Boom.
Okay, I love that Crash.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Absolutely love it.
So yeah, those are all the cymbals I use. Also use Roland Electronics, the SPDSs, the triggers.
The bar triggers?
No, just the acoustic drum triggers.
Okay.
I use them on the snare and on the kick.
Sure.
I've also got the PD8, which is an external pad which you can have attached to the brain. And what else do I use? I also use protection racket cases, of course. That's just about everything.
For today's video, you used the kit that we had in the shop, which was a kit that we've reviewed before, but we did it slightly differently. Obviously a much smaller setup, so that's the Mapex Armory, guys, for those of you who haven't seen that. And for the first time we actually heard that with Remo heads on, namely Emperors.
Yes.
Emperor Clears, seeing as we couldn't get hold of coated shambles, but and PS4 was it?
Yeah, PS4.
And that just made the kick sound totally different, didn't it?
Amazing.
What was your opinion on that? and also the cymbals you use. Could you
Yes.
just run down the cymbals you use as well? for us?
So in addition to that, I used a 21-inch special drive ride,
Right.
which I kind of used a lot as a crash, which sounded amazing. I've only tried it once before that. It sounds ridiculous. And I also used my 20-inch K Carote as a crash on this side, as a main crash and as a ride. And I used the 16-inch Avidis hi-hats, which sounded just amazing.
Is that a new discovery for you?
New discovery. I'd seen them. I think I tried the 14s once, but I'm mainly into the thinner, darker sounding cymbals. I do have a pair of 14-inch New Beats at home, which actually I use a lot for recordings all the time.
Yeah.
But those Avidis, those 16-inch Avidis, they sounded amazing.
Obviously, we saw a bit of you playing beforehand. I stepped outside. You guys were doing what you were doing. Such a deep and soulful sound you're producing. Have you, the style of your drumming, would you say that dictates the tuning that you have, and how would you
definitely
express yourself?
Well, first of all, playing onto that kit was an Armory kit. To me, that's the kind of kit. If you've got the right heads on it, that can go straight out onto the road.
Standard.
The shells are obviously made really well. I think they were birch and maple, maybe.
I believe so. They're a hybrid.
A hybrid.
Yeah.
Sounded amazing. The kick really shocked me because in this room it sounded like there was some sort of extra sub.
Studio kit.
It was.
I mean, the stadium kit.
Yeah. It sounded like it was mic'd up. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I also used this snare, which is the sledgehammer,
Okay.
which I believe is a 14 by 6.5.
Let me just check.
Brass. I know my Mapex snares.
My bad. Do you have one of these?
I don't actually.
What do you actually use?
I use a 14 by 6 rave snare, which
Okay.
is Matt Halpin's signature snare.
Okay.
And that's also brass. So it's only half an inch shallower than this. It's 14 by 6. And that sounds amazing. And it's so versatile. It's also got 9 holes around the kit.
Jeez.
So it's got a drier than usual sound, which means your ghost notes, they're really articulated. You can hear them like really well, but you don't get loads of overtone from the drum. I put a control sound on that and it sounds
Coated or clear?
coated. I've actually used a clear black dot on it before and it sounded ridiculous. It was actually a lot deader, a lot tighter. But obviously if you ever need to do some gigs and brushes, it wouldn't quite work.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah.
So finally, what would you recommend would be a good course of action for drummers coming up? Obviously, there's a lot of fans of the artists for whom you play for, so they'll hear your sound directly, and I'm sure you have a lot of fans of your drumming. You do, you're all right. But what would you say to any up-and-coming drummer looking to follow in your footsteps?
I'd say pay attention to the music, pay attention to the parts, and pay attention to how the music relates to the parts. That's kind of the main thing that my ear is sort of always trying to focus on. So for an example, like when I practice a song, I obviously listen to the song quite a lot. Then I practice the parts of the song, put them with the music, and constantly always playing with the music. That's like a very important thing. Practicing on your own, like up until the second year of playing with Maverick, all my practice was in the band room. You know? I didn't have a kit at home to practice on, so all my practice was basically either at home on a pad, which it isn't proper practice. It's good practice. Other than that, I was in the rehearsal room, always with other musicians. So for me, that's like the main thing. If you're looking for that kind of sound, you need to always be playing with musicians. If you're not playing with musicians, then you need to be playing to music. That's like really important. So for me, it was always important to always go back to the music, listen to the music. Even when I do a gig, I finish the gig, and then for the next tour, I listen to the album again and make sure I haven't deviated too much from the original feels. So,
There you go, guys.
yeah.
There it is.
All right, guys, thanks for having me here. I hope you enjoyed what you've seen and what you've heard. Please go and check out some of that gear, some of those drums, they're great. Please feel free to...
Like, subscribe.
Amazing. the YouTube channel. That would be great. Also, you can find me on the Instagram, Samson Jatto. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed what you've seen and like it, and comment as well. Ask me some more questions and I'll try and answer them. And look out for the next video. Thanks. See you guys soon.